two problems with Clause 11.
I'm supporting amendments 46 and 47. I wanted to just do a very loud hear here to the noble Baroness Meacher's impassioned intervention, which was spot on. I actually wanted to try and answer the question put by the noble Lord Deebden, and I wanted to answer his question speaking on behalf of the government. You'll all be surprised to know. But actually, what I thought I'd do was just quote the Home Office Minister the last time we had this, which was Baroness Williams, who explained why these new powers were necessary. And she said, "It is not always possible for the police to form suspicions that certain individuals have particular items with them," which is true. But if that's the basis on which we're legislating, that it's not always possible to know if somebody's got suspicious items on them, you don't know what the suspicions are, then it will be all right to stop and search them. This seems to me to just bring in arbitrariness into the law in a way which can only be dangerous and not make any logical sense to anybody outside of this House or anywhere else. And think of what the consequences are of some of this. The government keep telling us this is not about stopping the right to protest. And I'm going to take them at face value on that. But there you are, you're not doing anything suspicious, you're not carrying anything suspicious, but you are going on a demonstration. And the police have the right to stop you. Which means that what is suspicious is that you're going on the demonstration. It implies that going on a protest is preemptively seen as something dodgy. And I therefore become sceptical when the government assure me that this won't have a chilling effect on people going on demonstrations. And then finally, I want to draw attention to a clause that's not been mentioned in these amendments but is related to it, which is clause 14, which we won't need if we vote down clauses 10 and 11, and that is a new offence of obstructing a police officer in a police-related suspicionless stop and search, for which, by the way, you can go to prison for 51 weeks or get a substantial fine. And I think this clause indicates why these clauses 10 and 11, and even 11, is so dangerous, because I think it will destroy any feasible community relations with the police. Baroness Chakrabarti referred to the fact that many women might well be nervous if they are approached for a suspicionless stop and search. And in all the briefings that we've received, people have drawn attention to what happened tragically to Sarah Everard, and that you might well, if the police say, "We haven't got any suspicions, but we're stopping and searching you," if you're a woman, say, "Excuse me, I'm not having that. I don't want that to happen." And in fact, a lot of advice was given to young women that they should not just take on face value if a police officer approaches them and says that they want to interfere with them in some way. But I wanted to use a more everyday example. During lockdown, 2 care workers I know were walking home from their work, and they sat down on a bench and they were having a coffee in a park. They worked together in a bubble, giving intimate care to people in that care home. They worked throughout the pandemic. They were approached by a number of police officers who asked them if they lived in the same home, and when they said no, the police officer said that they were breaking the bubble. And if you can remember those mad days, this is what it was like, right? And they sort of rather jokingly said, "Oh, well, we're sort of, you know, taking people to the toilet and working intimately with people all in, day out, day." I don't think. Anyway, the police officers became quite aggressive and threatened to arrest them and all sorts of things, as we know those stories from the lockdown. The reason I'm telling you that is that the woman who was telling me the story, has never, ever, ever, ever been in trouble with the police before. Has never been approached by the police in that way. Is a law-abiding citizen who would, generally speaking, support the kind of law and order measures being brought in by this government. But because of the treatment that she had by this police officer, who treated her as though she was behaving suspiciously for having a coffee on a bench, having done a long 12-hour shift in a care home, she said she will never trust the police again. And she argued back and they threatened to arrest her. My fear is that if we give arbitrary powers to the police to stop people suspicionless and stop and search them, what this government might be unintentionally and inadvertently doing is building a new movement of people who don't trust the police, are suspicious of the police, and with good reason in this instance, not suspicion-less, but suspicious that the police are stopping them in an arbitrary fashion and that we are no longer a free society. We'll all vote against clauses 10, 11, and that way destroy clause 14 as well.
My Lord,